What's the real meaning of life? A Buddhist path to true fulfillment. Many of us at some point have wondered, what truly gives life meaning? What makes it feel fulfilling, beyond the daily routine, the achievements, or the moments of happiness that come and go? In a world that moves quickly and often praises success, it's easy to believe that meaning must come from something impressive or extraordinary. We try hard to build a life that feels complete. Through career, relationships, experiences, or self-growth. Yet even after doing all the right things, it's not uncommon to feel a subtle emptiness or a lingering sense that something is still missing. Why is that? And what shapes our understanding of what a meaningful life should look like? In today's culture, many people tie meaning to achievement, a successful job, financial stability, recognition, or status. For others, meaning lies in connection, in love, family, friendship, or belonging to a community. Some look to pleasure and enjoyment, travel, entertainment, food, or comfort. Others feel fulfilled by making a difference, creating impact, supporting causes, or leaving behind a legacy. And increasingly, we're encouraged to find meaning through personal growth, becoming wiser, healthier, more mindful, or the best version of ourselves. These are all valid and human pursuits. They reflect real needs for safety, love, creativity, and purpose. But even when these needs are met, many still find themselves returning to the same quiet question: is this it? Modern psychology and neuroscience offer insights into why fulfillment can feel so elusive. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, described our deep inner drive as a will to meaning. When this need isn't met, people often experience what he called an existential vacuum, a sense of boredom, restlessness, or emotional emptiness that can lead to anxiety, addiction, or burnout. Neuroscientist Michael Gazzaniga noted that our brains are wired to make meaning. The left hemisphere in particular acts like an interpreter. It constantly creates stories to explain who we are and what our lives mean. This narrative self, while helpful, also makes us vulnerable to feeling incomplete unless we're constantly achieving, proving, or becoming something more. This can lead to what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, a cycle where we briefly enjoy success or pleasure, but quickly adapt and return to a baseline of dissatisfaction. The joy of a new accomplishment fades, and soon we find ourselves chasing the next one. Over time, this creates an exhausting loop where we never quite arrive. Even when we're not actively chasing anything, our minds are rarely still. The default mode network, DMN, active during rest, often pulls us into comparison, regret, or worry, generating low-level suffering even in moments of calm. So can the common paths to meaning, success, relationships, pleasure, growth, truly satisfy us? The honest answer is, sometimes, but often only for a while. Many people who seem to have it all still feel something unresolved beneath the surface. There's a quiet paradox here. The more intensely we chase meaning outside ourselves, the more it slips away. The constant pressure to find our purpose or become someone can prevent us from noticing the richness of life that is already here. This doesn't mean that goals, love, or growth are empty, but it invites us to look more closely at how we relate to them. Are we chasing meaning as something distant to be achieved? Or are we open to discovering it in the simplicity of the present moment? This question opens the door to a deeper kind of inquiry. one that asks not just what gives life meaning, but whether our entire way of searching needs to shift. The Buddha's insight into suffering and reality. Prince Siddhartha, deeply moved by the universal realities of aging, sickness, and death, set out on an unshakable quest to discover a lasting solution to the deep dissatisfaction woven into human life. Through intense meditation under the Bodhi tree, he reached full awakening, seeing clearly into the true nature of existence. From this awakening came profound insights that would become the foundation of his teachings. Moved by great compassion, he chose to share this liberating path with all beings. But what exactly did the Buddha realize that allowed him to understand the root of human suffering so clearly? The Buddha's central insight, presented in his first discourse, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the discourse on the turning of the wheel of Dhamma, was the noble truth of suffering, dukkha. Though often translated as suffering, dukkha has a much deeper meaning than just physical pain or emotional distress. It includes the full range of human dissatisfaction: birth, aging, illness, death, sorrow, grief, and despair. But it also covers suffering caused by change, viparinama dukkha, such as the emptiness we feel after success fades or the pain of losing relationships or health. And even deeper is the suffering built into existence itself, sankhara dukkha, the subtle sense that nothing conditioned can ever truly satisfy. As the Buddha explained, in short, the 5 aggregates of clinging are suffering. This insight points to a powerful truth. Even when life appears full, the dissatisfaction many people feel is not a mistake. It is a built-in feature of human existence. To fully understand why external sources of meaning often disappoint, the Buddha revealed 2 more key aspects of reality. The first is impermanence, anicca. Everything we know, our bodies, our thoughts, our relationships, our achievements, is constantly changing, arising and fading moment by moment. This truth, though simple, carries deep implications. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purity." The reason our joys and accomplishments never seem to last is because by nature they can't. They are temporary, always shifting, and therefore unable to provide lasting peace. The second insight is not self, anatta. This teaching reveals that what we think of as a permanent, independent self is actually just a collection of constantly changing processes, the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. These components arise and pass away depending on conditions. In his second discourse, the Anattalakkhana Sutta, the Buddha clearly stated, "Form is impermanent. What is impermanent is suffering. What is suffering is not self. What is not self is not mine, not I, not myself." This should be seen as it actually is with right wisdom. This teaching directly challenges the belief in a fixed, narrative self, the mental story we often build to give life meaning. But since that self is based on ever-changing elements, clinging to it only leads to more frustration. These deep truths naturally lead to the question, what causes our suffering if everything is impermanent and without a fixed self? The Buddha pointed to 2 root causes: ignorance, avijja, and craving, tanha. Ignorance means not seeing clearly the nature of impermanence, suffering, and not self. This confusion fuels craving, the restless desire to have, to become, or to escape. Craving shows up as longing for sensual pleasures, for continued existence, or even for non-existence. These cravings then lead to clinging upadana, which tightens the cycle of suffering. As stated in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, this, monks, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. It is this craving which leads to renewed existence, accompanied by delight and lust. Craving for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, craving for non-existence. In this way, the Buddha exposed how our constant search for meaning and fulfillment is driven by forces within us that keep us trapped. The Buddha's awakening was not just a personal insight, but a clear realization of a universal law, that suffering arises not from random misfortune, but from our failure to understand the true nature of reality. Because all things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self, trying to hold on or define ourselves through them inevitably leads to pain. Craving and ignorance lie at the heart of this cycle, and until we see this clearly, our search for meaning will remain incomplete. This core understanding challenges the way most people think about life's purpose. It invites us to stop looking outward and begin examining the very nature of our experience. True liberation, the Buddha taught, comes not from building a better story of self, but from seeing through the illusion of self altogether. Nibbāna, life's ultimate goal. Once we gain a deeper understanding of suffering and the true nature of reality, a profound question naturally arises. What, then, is the ultimate purpose of life? What is the highest goal, the true endpoint, of the spiritual path according to the Buddha's teachings? For many, the idea of Nibbāna may seem abstract or out of reach. Yet in truth, it lies at the very heart of the Dhamma and represents the core aspiration in Buddhism. Nibbāna is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering, Nirodha Sakka, the third of the Four Noble Truths revealed in the Buddha's first discourse. It is not a place or a void, but a profound state of mind. According to the Buddha, the highest purpose of life is to realize Nibbāna, to completely end all suffering. This state marks the total cessation of craving, tanha, aversion, dosa, and delusion, moha, the three poisons that lie at the root of all mental suffering. Nibbāna is the complete release from the cycle of rebirth, samsara, the realization of perfect peace, total inner freedom, and the deathless state, amata. As the Buddha declared in that foundational discourse, this, monks, is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. It is the remainderless fading away and cessation of that same craving, the giving up and relinquishing of it, freedom from it, non-reliance on it. In this way, Nibbāna is defined not by what it adds, but by what it ends, the forces of craving and clinging that fuel suffering. It is liberation in the truest sense. Importantly, Nibbāna is not some kind of nothingness, nor is it cold detachment or emotional emptiness. Rather, it is a state of fully loving without clinging. Far from being indifferent or lifeless, it is alive with boundless compassion, joy, and wisdom. In this awakened state, one lives fully in the world, sees things clearly, and experiences deeply, yet is no longer bound by the grip of craving, aversion, or illusion. A powerful image of this freedom comes from the revered Thai forest master Ajahn Chah. He would often hold up a glass and say, "This glass is beautiful, isn't it? But for me, it is already broken. I see its impermanent nature clearly. Because I see this, I will not suffer when it breaks. I enjoy it fully while it is here." This teaching beautifully captures the essence of non-clinging. It shows that true freedom doesn't mean withdrawing from life, but rather engaging with life more fully, without attachment or fear. Even without fully attaining Nibbāna, moving in this direction brings real and immediate benefits: reduced stress, a deep sense of peace, and the blossoming of wisdom and compassion. Ultimately, Nibbāna is complete fulfillment. There is nothing more to gain, nothing to chase, because there is no self left to crave or feel incomplete. It is the final destination of every sincere spiritual path, the answer to life's deepest question. It goes beyond all ordinary ideas of meaning and brings the mind to rest in total, unconditional freedom. The Eightfold Path, a practical road to freedom. Having glimpsed Nibbāna, the end of suffering and the realization of unconditional freedom as the ultimate purpose of life, the next essential question arises: how do we actually walk this path? How do we move from dissatisfaction and confusion to peace and clarity? In response, the Buddha offered a clear, structured, and practical path for all beings: the Noble Eightfold Path. This path, known as the Fourth Noble Truth, is the Buddha's answer to the way leading out of suffering, as taught in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. It is often called the middle way because it avoids two harmful extremes: indulgence in sensual pleasures on one end and harsh self-denial on the other. Instead, it offers a balanced and integrated approach to liberation. As the Buddha proclaimed, "This, monks, is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering." It is this Noble Eightfold Path, that is, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. The Eightfold Path can be understood through three core dimensions that work in harmony: morality, sila; concentration, samadhi; and wisdom, panya. The first is morality, sila, which emphasizes ethical living. It begins with right speech, samavaka, refraining from lying, divisive talk, harsh words, and meaningless chatter. Instead, we are encouraged to speak truthfully, kindly, and with purpose. Next is right action, samakammanta, avoiding killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct, and choosing actions that are respectful and harmless. Then comes right livelihood, samma ajiva, earning a living in ways that do not cause harm to oneself or others, such as avoiding trades involving weapons, intoxicants, or exploitation of living beings. These ethical guidelines are not mere rules. They are the foundation for inner peace. When applied in our relationships, work, and daily life, they foster harmony and reduce conflict, bringing about a more compassionate and balanced way of living. The second dimension is concentration, samadhi, which focuses on cultivating a calm and clear mind. It begins with right effort, samma vayama, the practice of preventing unwholesome mental states, letting go of those already present, and nurturing and maintaining wholesome ones. Following this is right mindfulness, samma sati, a deep, steady awareness of the present moment, observing the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. This quality of mindfulness is central to insight, vipassana, and is emphasized in the Satipatthana Sutta, where the Buddha described it as the direct path to purification. Finally, right concentration, samma samadhi, involves developing mental focus through practices such as breath meditation, leading to deeper meditative absorptions, jhanas. These states of concentration calm the mind, making it stable, unified, and ready for insight. Through these practices, we learn to carry presence and clarity into all aspects of life, eating, walking, speaking, or working. The third dimension is wisdom, panya, the understanding that guides and grounds the path. This begins with right view, samadhi, seeing reality as it is, including the Four Noble Truths, dependent origination, and the principles of impermanence, suffering, and not self. This view is not just intellectual, but deepens through direct experience. The Mahavadala Sutta explores different levels of wisdom, from learning and reflection to experiential realization. The second factor is right intention, sammasankappa, the inner resolve to act with renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness, rather than with craving, ill will, or aggression. When guided by this clarity and compassion, our thoughts, words, and actions naturally align with the path to freedom. Importantly, the Noble Eightfold Path is not limited to monks or ascetics. It is meant for everyone, including lay people, seeking awakening in the midst of daily life. Our homes, workplaces, and relationships become a spiritual laboratory where the Eightfold Path is lived. Every challenge, whether in career, family, or community, becomes an opportunity to cultivate mindfulness, patience, compassion, and wisdom. The path is gradual and realistic. Each step brings tangible benefits: greater peace, clearer insight, and a deeper sense of meaning in the present moment. Modern teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, with his vision of engaged Buddhism, and the Dalai Lama, through his message of universal compassion, remind us that this path is not abstract. It is profoundly relevant, accessible, and transformative, right here, right now. Ultimately, the Eightfold Path is not just a theory. It is a living, practical roadmap. It allows us to transform suffering, develop clarity and compassion, and move step by step toward true freedom. It is the path that brings the Buddha's profound realizations into the heart of daily life. The journey of practice and true fulfillment. A question often arises for sincere practitioners. If I don't reach Nibbāna in this lifetime, have I failed? If I follow the Buddha's teachings yet do not attain full enlightenment, does that mean the journey was incomplete? The Buddha's teachings offer a different perspective. The path is not a pass or fail test, nor is awakening something that happens only at the end. It is a gradual unfolding, anupubbikatha, a process of deepening understanding and letting go. Every reduction in craving, aversion, and delusion, no matter how small, is already meaningful. These are not minor improvements. They are moments of awakening in themselves. The beauty of the path lies in its immediacy. Its benefits are not locked in the future. The practice brings tangible transformation now: a quieter mind, more compassion, clearer insight, healthier relationships. In the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha encouraged this spirit of direct experience. These things, when practiced and cultivated, lead to benefit and lasting happiness for you. He reminded us that we don't need to believe blindly or wait for results in the next life. The truth of the path can be known here and now. Still, life is not always smooth. There are moments of great difficulty, loss, illness, heartbreak, or despair. In such times, the idea of enlightenment may feel abstract, even distant. But paradoxically, it is in these very moments that the Dhamma becomes most alive. The teachings on dukkha, impermanence, and not-self don't eliminate pain, but they transform our relationship to it. Suffering is no longer seen as punishment or failure. It becomes a teacher. When we stop resisting pain or demanding certainty from life, we create space for healing. The goal of practice, in such moments, shifts from attaining something far away to finding grounding and meaning in the now. Even a mindful breath, a gentle word to oneself, or the act of simply staying present with one's suffering. These are profound expressions of the path. In this way, to practice is not to push toward a fixed outcome, but to live with sincerity, clarity, and compassion, even when progress feels invisible. Practice is planting seeds, often quietly, that may not bloom today, but will surely bear fruit. We learn to trust the process itself. Here, a reflection from philosopher Alan Watts feels especially relevant. The meaning of life is just to be alive. It is so plain, and so obvious, and so simple. And yet, everybody rushes around in a great panic, as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. This insight echoes the heart of Buddhist practice. True fulfillment doesn't lie in chasing a distant goal, but in fully being present with what is. Letting go of the illusion that we must always become something more. We discover that this breath, this step, this moment of awareness is already enough. To live the path is not about perfection. It's about learning to stay open, to soften the heart, and to meet life with understanding. We begin to let go, not because we're trying to escape, but because we finally see there is nothing permanent to cling to. Fulfillment, then, is not waiting at the end of the road. It's revealed within the journey itself, through awareness, through kindness, through quiet courage. When we walk with this kind of presence, we stop running. We stop searching outside ourselves. We taste a freedom that is not dependent on what we gain or lose. And that is what it means to live a life of true meaning.